What's going on, everyone? This is the Right Kazi here, and I wanted to come at you all today a little bit different than we normally do. I know I usually come out with another video, maybe Pokemon related, gaming related, something hype and things like that, but today is going to be something a little bit different. October 11th is National Coming Out Day. It's actually the 30th year anniversary for those that stood their ground and said, you know, I am what I am and I'm coming out, and stood their ground to where if other individuals try to make them feel as though they are less inadequate of what they know that they were worth, they stood their ground to make sure that they were like, no, I am worth more and you can't tell me otherwise. And that is a very important day to where those that are feeling as though it's a challenge to come out, or having mixed feelings about whether or not they should or should not, or is there a reason to. And I wanted to go ahead, if my story might help somebody, I wanted to go ahead and share that with you here today. So those of you that don't know, I grew up in New York City, and as opposed to what you all may believe with seeing me doing like workout videos and a lot of things like that, I was actually a very, very, very skinny kid. And I was actually picked on a lot. I really was, and didn't really enjoy that part of my childhood. I could fight, and I always defended myself if it came down to it, but it was still annoying to always have to defend myself for some reason. And you know, if you add on, if you are attracted to someone of the same gender as yourself, then that's just making it worse for you. But that was never something that actually came out for me because I was also attracted to girls. So throughout growing up, I was typically dating girls, and that was never a big deal. However, a lot of the girls that I dated growing up always either wanted to use me for some particular reason, and then whenever they got whatever they needed, then they kind of just were moseying on to somebody else. And I used to get a little bit conflicted trying to figure out what was wrong with me, what was happening, why was that the case, or people always called me weird. But some girls, that when they actually found out more about me, when they actually took the time to learn about me, they're like, oh my gosh, you're a really great individual. It's like, well, yeah, I kind of am. Toot toot. But, you know, but by that point in time, you know, they're seeing somebody or whatever it may be. So I always just kind of struggled with trying to figure out with myself, you know, what was actually going on. Why was I the one that really pushed other people away? I felt as though it was all about me. Now, despite my feelings for liking seeing guys, you know, that I might find attractive, it was just never something for me to act upon. Now, as the years went on, come down to the year 2002, I moved on to Clarksville, Tennessee. That's where my sister was for that year. I was only just going to stay for that year, but things changed and happened to where I ended up staying in Tennessee. Now my sister, she left and she went over to Alaska, and I was not going there because I really don't like the cold. So as I stayed there, I always stayed heavily involved with the church in that area. So as we would probably know, church environment, homosexuality, any bisexuality, anything of that nature, that's just not something that would mix. So I pretty much stayed busy. I just, you know, went to school, finishing up my high school, stayed super involved in the church, and there was a few girls that I did really like. Now the girls that I were actually interested in one way or another, it's kind of like the same cycle as what I was going through back when I was in New York City. So it was still a bit difficult for me, and that was something that I struggled within myself about. And honestly, I let it all slide. I just continued on with life. But then whenever I actually went to college, that is when things just made a complete 180-degree turn. So I went over to Nashville, Tennessee, and I went to Lipscomb University, which is a Church of Christ school, which is making things even more of a challenge about me even dealing with the different feelings that I may or may not have. Now, whenever I moved out to Nashville, there were a lot of actual male individuals for the first time in my life that actually were like around my age or whatnot that were showing interest in me. And that could be whether it was at school, whether it would be when I started going to the gym and people would notice me. And I'm like, regardless of anything, and I was a bit perturbed at first, but I kind of was like, hey, so all these girls that I would try to date, and apparently I was never good enough, but then all of a sudden, these guys that I do also find attractive were actually noticing me. And that I really struggled with that because I didn't know where that was taking me, because I definitely found them attractive and it was not something that ever had to worry about acting on. But at the same time, I was like, I was always supposed to be going with the girls, but any girls that I've been trying to date, they've not wanted to be with me. So then it just ended up over time, it just developed that I actually found the first person that was going to be my first boyfriend. And that was an interesting thing. So this marks the time when I had to come out for the very first time. So I met this guy and we decided that we were going to start dating. We dated for about 2 years, but early on in the relationship, I was always one that said, if I'm going to do something, I'll be proud of what I'm going to do. So this was the first time I actually had to come out because I was never actually dating a guy before. But now this time I was, so I picked up the phone, I called my mom and I told her, I was like, hey, I'm actually dating a guy right now. She was not too happy with that. My mom was like, I don't know how to take this. I don't understand it. And we didn't really talk about it from that point forward. We just left it alone. And I knew she was never really comfortable with it. Told my sister, my oldest sister, she was always perfectly fine with that. And then for those of you that have seen my earlier video, like at the beginning of this channel actually, Father's Day of last year, there's a person by that point in time that I called Dad, and he was in Clarksville, Tennessee. And his wife, I told her, and she knew about it, and she was wondering how I was going to explain it to him. So for those of you that don't know that part of my life, I mean, it was 20 years going throughout my life, and I've never called somebody Dad. And there's this one individual that I felt comfortable to trust to call Dad. At that point, that was a very difficult thing for me because coming out to him, I felt as though I was going to fail him in some form or fashion. So that was the biggest struggle, actually, to plan to tell him. And his wife didn't want to tell him. She knew it has to be me. Later on, towards the second year of our relationship, and I was finishing college, we ended up moving in together. And my dad came over different times, and my partner at that time was never at the house. It just so ended up happening that way. I never planned it. But there was one day he came over, and he said he was just coming to see me. He just wanted to talk, and we talked and everything, and then he left the house. Then he came right back and knocked on the door, and I opened it up, and I was like, what's going on? He's like, no, I need to talk to you. I was like, oh boy, I already knew where this was going. So he said, this guy that you're roommates with, I've never seen him, and I never see pictures of him or anything. What's really going on here? And I'm not one to lie. I'm going to tell exactly what's going on. And I told him, I said, yeah, we are in a relationship. And that hurt him. It did. It definitely caused a bit of a rift between us. And I remember having different conversations with him, just telling him, I'm the same person. Yes, I like girls and I like guys. This is the person that I'm seeing right now. He really was just kind of pulled back by it. And it kind of really messed with our relationship. It did. The relationship actually ended. And for other reasons, per se, I'm not going to bring all of that up. But things just kind of went back to normal. And because even when my dad found out, he said, so what are you planning on doing? I'm like, it is what it is. I'll just see as the road takes me, So we kind of had a bit of a rocky moment, but we things kind of were getting back to normal. I guess that was the luxury of being bisexual, is that I could go either way. So if I went with a girl, I think he would have been fine, but you just never know. And our communication was starting to decrease more and more and more. But over the course of time, I ended up getting in another relationship, and that was with another guy. Now, granted, this is from the history of having the church that I've been at, where there's a lot of individuals that were looking up to me. This is a lot of positions that I was holding at this church. There's so many things that was going on at this church that, as I was also developing more and more in my college career, as I'm trying to pursue my medical future and things, I was also pulling out of the church at the exact same time, because there was a lot of things that don't need to go into, but that were just really cult-like, and I was truly trying to pull out of that. So then, when I ended up getting into another relationship with another guy, things kind of were going okay, because my older sister, yet again, she was living with me. She came to move out to Nashville because military. They were going through a little bit of a shift from one place to another, so she came to stay by me for a while. When she did that, I ended up starting to meet the guy, and when she met him, she was like, "Are you all going to start dating?" I was like, "I don't know, not really jumping that far." But then it was like everybody was kind of pushing it. He was like, "Yeah, we should start dating," and then it just gravitated, it just developed into a relationship. When that happened, so then it's time to come out again. With my previous relationship, my mom, who kind of was rude to my partner at that point in time, and dealing with all of the positions that I've held and things like that, it was really a tough position for me to be holding, because I'm trying to deal with everything at the same exact time. And I would sit down at night praying, and I'm just wondering, if this is the path that I need to be on, then go ahead and place the male in front of me. If there's a path of a female to be in front of me, let someone that come my way. And it just always ended up being a guy. But so I was like, okay, that is what it is. Then I'm just going to just go with the flow. And I learned how to flow and really just be proud of what I do and just flow with it. It was Thanksgiving one year. My mom was going to meet my partner at that time, because I was traveling out to my older sister's house, where she was at that point she was in Kentucky. So we were going to go and have a big family gathering, and I was bringing my partner with me. So I picked up the phone and called and said, "Hey, look, this is what's going to happen. I'm coming into town, and I am bringing somebody with me. This is not my friend. Well, it's kind of my friend, but this person is also more than that. This person is my partner." And I prepared everyone. I said, "Listen here, Mom, you need to understand that this is the person I'm bringing. I'm not going to hide it. I will not hide it whatsoever. And if you do back talk or speak down to this person of mine, I will tell you off. I will get my things, and I will drive back to Nashville. And I'm not playing, and you will not hear from me for a very long time." I prepared her ahead of time. We drove into Kentucky. She met us. She was fine. And because she knew I was not joking. She hugged me and said how she really likes him and everything. I was like, okay, well, this is great. We even then decided to do family pictures. And when we did the family pictures, we decided to go ahead and let him be involved with it, because I'm really thinking it's going to be for more of a long haul type of thing, and we'll go ahead and do some photos. Now this is where things started getting a bit interesting. So one of these days, about a few weeks later, I'm actually driving over to my partner's house, and next thing you know, my phone starts going off. I mean, it starts lighting up non-stop, and it's from people from Clarksville back at where the church is to where some of them I hadn't even heard from in a great deal of time because, like I said, I've been pulling back anyway because I was trying to work on school, really trying to focus there. And then I haven't heard from them in a long time. Next thing you know, it's boom, boom, boom. Hey, what's going on? We need to talk to you. We need to talk to you. I'm like, what is happening? And then they're like, have these photos, are they true? And I'm like, what photos? And they're like, check your Facebook. So I pull up Facebook. My partner decides to post our photos, and some of those are just he and I on Facebook, and he tagged me in it. So this was the second coming out, but being outed in that regard. And I was like, okay. Well, once I saw it, I was like, yeah, I am in a relationship with this person. And for some individuals that I haven't even heard of in a long time, they were just getting a little PO'd about it. And I said, it doesn't really matter. For some of those individuals that they used to be young when I was watching over them, and over the years they got a bit more mature, and they were calling me, and they were, once they found out about it and they asked me, I told them, they said, okay, that's, as long as you're happy, as long as he's treating you right, we got you. And so those individuals I'll still keep in contact with up to today. But for the other individuals, I told them off. I was like, listen here, one, you haven't even spoken to me in a long time. Two, you have no merit whatsoever because you're not going home with me at the end of the day. So quite frankly, if you want to stay in little old town and do absolutely nothing with your life and have nothing else to do but to throw rocks towards me, guess what? You're just shattering your own glass house because they ain't reaching me. It ain't bothering me. I'm living my life the way I need to live my life. So with that being said, that was an outing of myself. And I talked to my partner at that point in time, and he was like, oh my gosh, did I do something wrong? I was like, well, you kind of knew what you were doing, because he knew that the people at the church didn't really know about me, but yet he posted that. But I was like, you know what? I don't care. It's fine, because, again, I didn't live a life that was, quote-unquote, closeted. If we went out together, people knew that I was with him. I didn't hide it, but if somebody was to ask me about it, then I'd say it. But most people, when they actually see me, they think I'm just straight. But no, that's just not the case. I am bisexual. That is what it is. The things that I had to endure with me coming out and or me being outed, I mean, it's, the person that I call dad, again, if y'all seen that video for the Father's Day, it's been a couple years now, and I still have not heard from the one I call dad. That part hurts the most, because he's the first and probably the only one I've ever trusted enough to call dad. So that is the toughest part for me. Aside from that, everyone else pretty much either accepted it and I'm okay. If they didn't accept it, I'm still okay. Because in the end, I've seen and I've watched some people that were saying that they are afraid to come out. And honestly, it really gets me angry. It really does fester up a fire inside of me to where I am wondering why we must be afraid to say who we are. Why is it even a big deal of who we are or anything? Because quite frankly, if it's not affecting somebody else, why does it matter? It does not matter. For any of you afraid to come out, National Coming Out Day is October 11th. You do have an opportunity to come out. If you want to be part of that, be out, support one another. I'll support you. And there are various groups out there that will be willing to support you. But now, of course, you got to make sure you do it wisely. I mean, of course, I didn't really have to make that decision between guys and girls or anything or saying anything until I was already in college. And that's my first time when I actually had a relationship with a guy. But some people start off younger and some people start off older. But just definitely do it when you're ready. But don't not do it just because you're afraid. If you're just deciding, by all means. If you're just afraid, don't be afraid of who you are. If you're afraid of who you are, that means you're ashamed. And I see no reason of being ashamed of who you are. So, with that being said, live your life. Don't let anybody tell you you are less than what you are, because you are more than a conqueror. This has been my coming out journey. Now at this point in my life, I am in a gay men's choir. Haven't actually mentioned that yet because that was something that I tried out for this past August, and I got in. We are singing at the National Coming Out Day at the United Methodist Church here in Knoxville, Tennessee. I've actually developed even further into the LGBTQ community with my roles. There are individuals that look up to me. There are individuals that I'm really close to. There are individuals that you all may potentially even meet, because we may or may not, be fully developing into a full-fledged relationship. So more of that may be coming out here pretty soon. I'm letting you all slowly into that dynamic of my life, but those are things that I've been working on and been doing. So for those of you that have been wondering about yourself, and remember, we always speak about staying strong. You all need to make sure you stay strong. You can power on through everything. Be rest assured, because you are you. And there's nothing wrong with you. And that's really all I have to say. So, hope you all did at least get something, hopefully, out of this journey that I went through, hopefully. And I hope it gives you all courage to where you can, face your fear if you are scared about coming out. And I hope that maybe one day, honestly, coming out is not even a thing, really. Because it should be, hey, this is the person I love. Person, people, whatever. This is who I love, and everybody should be like, oh, okay, this is who you brought home. Cool. And move on. It doesn't have to be that big of a deal. And we may lose some people on the journey. And that is unfortunate. And I've dealt with that quite a bit. But in the end, you still have your core. You still have who you are. And as long as you don't lose yourself, you make it great. So at this moment in time, though, it's going to be the right Kazi signing off. Love you all. Stay strong. Power on. Catch you later.